Mr. Linscott, Donald Trump has once again targeted India over what he calls, quote unquote, unfairly high tariffs, claiming that the US has done relatively little business with India. Today we saw penalties also on oil companies. Given your role in fostering US-India trade relations, how do you respond to this kind of characterization, of relatively little business? Is it factually grounded, or one may ask, politically convenient?
Well, I think this is a bit of a low point in the U.S.-India trade relationship. It's hard to get around that, and hopefully there's only one direction now, which is up. We'll see. We will have reciprocal tariffs announced tomorrow. We'll see if there are any new announcements related to penalties. Hopefully not. I think that certainly would complicate the situation. India is not alone. There will be reciprocal tariffs, and I think higher reciprocal tariffs against some other countries. There's already 50% that's been announced with Brazil. But this is a very different scenario than many of us hoped, certainly a couple of weeks ago, and even as recently as last week. There had seemed to be good prospects for a trade deal. There had been multiple statements from the administration, even from the president himself, but additionally, Secretary Bessent and Kevin Hassett and Secretary Letnick, that a deal was very close. So it's truly unfortunate that we are at this point. I do think that what has been a missing component in this negotiation in the run-up to announcement of reciprocal tariffs is there's been no direct engagement between President Trump and Prime Minister Modi. It's been clear that President Trump is trade negotiator in chief, and every single one of the deals he's announced, whether it's been with the EU or with Japan or South Korea, Vietnam, Indonesia, et cetera, has involved his direct engagement with his foreign leader counterpart or directly with the trade minister involved. He's showed he's willing to negotiate directly with those. So that's been missing with India. I think if that had happened, there would have been better prospects for a deal. And unfortunately, we're at this moment when things are not looking so good.
Okay, Mr. Linscott, Donald Trump, of course, recently, in fact, today, he clubbed India and Russia together, saying both economies are dead. From your vantage point, how do such sweeping statements, factually incorrect statements, these are lies, impact investor confidence and bilateral strategic trust, especially when trade between the two nations had actually grown in recent years?
Well, hopefully the impact is minimal and only temporary. And we certainly have many instances in the past in which the president can change course on a dime. Next week we could have situations in which he's more positive on the U.S.-India relationship, particularly if there is that kind of direct communication between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump. And I recognize with the posts he's made over the last 2 days, it makes it more difficult to pick up the phone. But that could make a real difference. But it does complicate things to have these posts. I hope we have developments that will clear the air, that will allow the negotiations to continue, and hopefully there still is a prospect for a deal in the short term.
But given the nature of comments that have come from Donald Trump, they are inflammatory and unpleasant. It is being seen as pressure tactics as well. These phrases are never used in international negotiations and diplomatic commentaries. And of course, when you say that he is the negotiator in chief, then how can there be a call between the two leaders at all because of the comments which has come only recently? I mean, as early as few hours ago.
I mean, there's no doubt that the comments have been inflammatory. I think unfortunate for the relationship, and they definitely make it more difficult to have that direct communication. And essentially that is an assessment that the Indian government, the Modi administration, will have to make, whether they've been just too far beyond the pale to allow for that direct communication. But if it does happen, it could make a very positive impact. Again, we've seen instances in the past in which the president responds quite positively to that kind of engagement. But I recognize that it's more complicated, it's more difficult to do that at this point.